What is up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day as always. We had a phenomenal September going into crypto. The overall market's looking pretty damn bullish when September tends to be a pretty dang bearish month. So to see it turn out on the bullish side as it did was incredible to see going into October. We've recently had some pullback as well. So I wanted to talk about riding the green candles, bringing back the green candles, keeping that momentum going, making sure the mindset's always there as well. So as always, folks, I hope y'all are having a fantastic day, boys and girls. Saying hello to some tin tops, saying hello to DJ Bomber, Hector T-shirts in the house, Digital Farmer. What's going on, gents, ladies and gentlemen? Always good to see everybody in here. Always good to have everyone join. And again, we're talking about the good old candles of the month of September. So recently we just closed out September. Again, pretty damn bullish across the board for most cryptos, as a matter of fact. It was actually pretty incredible to see, especially in the RH ecosystem in particular, having all those green candles as well, bringing back the fun, bringing back that momentum once again. So you can actually see going into the actual chart right here for Bitcoin right now, where everything stood. We had actually a 7% gain this particular month for Bitcoin on this one. So always good to see how that actually ended up playing out overall. Now we are seeing a slight pullback, which again is nothing out of the ordinary. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these cycles, folks. Everything is cyclical, of course. When things go up on a nice little rally, tends to have a pullback as well. It's just a matter of can that rally actually continue. Looking at the day-to-day chart, it's not going to help you too much because sometimes you think the market's going to do one thing, it does the opposite, and vice versa. So you can keep it simple and look at the overall big macro scale, zooming out a lot of the times, right? Going all the way back even to previous cycles as well. So when we actually see what's going on right now, we are basically doing the exact same thing right now. We're still holding into the exact same cycle. We're actually moving into a situation where we could potentially be seeing a beautiful October, right, as they like to say. However, when you're looking at Bitcoin in particular, just looking at this chart, you can see we've been holding this sideways channel or parallel channel for quite some time, right? From 71,000 all the way down to 53,000. We've basically been holding somewhere in that range since really March. I mean, you can go back to February when we actually broke into the range in the first place. But for the most part, we've just been holding in that range. And a lot of people are kind of curious as to what's going on, what's happening. So I'm here to just kind of share what I see going on with the charts, what I see happening overall. And that was not the daily. That was some crazy time scale that I don't think I've ever chosen before. Not even sure what that does. So looking at the daily chart right now, again, this is what everyone's seeing. They're seeing a chart of Bitcoin, which you just saw moments ago back in February, started breaking through this 52K range. Now finally pulling back and finally getting some support off the 52 and actually getting that move going into September, right? September was a dang good bullish month for the overall crypto landscape, especially when you pull up just from September alone to actually where it ended up doing. 26%. That's not that shabby at all. It did have a pullback right at the end of the month, so it actually ended up leading up to where, again, the month ended up closing a 19% gain that month from the bottom of September to the actual end of the month type scenario. But either way, folks, this is incredible to see. Looking at the overall market cipher right now, it is starting to flip a little bit bearish on this one, where all the moving averages are starting to decline again. Folks, it's doing the exact same thing. Right now, what I'm seeing is basically big old Elliott wave moves happening, right? And again, this is a simple Elliott wave pattern happening in here right now. But we got 1, 2, going up to 3, pulling back, and then we actually got that fifth wave. Usually when you do have an Elliott wave pattern on this one, it would actually be more like this. Let me just readjust this real quick. 1 second. It would look more like that. We actually have a nice little Elliott wave for the 5 pattern strategy. Wave 3 always has to be the biggest bullish rally overall, so keep that in mind. And wave 4 can never go back below wave 1. You tend to actually get some correction overall what's actually happening next. And it tends to be an ABC correction, right? So we're actually going to get that first little correction, possibly come back up, retest the 63K, possibly even coming back down and retesting previous levels, which is, again, putting it back here around this $59,000 mark for Bitcoin. that wouldn't be out of the ballpark. I could definitely see that being a possibility. And then it continues into the next wave move, right? When you actually see some of these charts, you're going to see the same situation play out over and over and over again. It'll be a 5-wave impulse move followed by an ABC correction. That ABC correction could go sideways for a couple of times. That ABC correction could go sideways for multiple times, as a matter of fact. And then it actually goes into that next wave 5 impulse. But looking at the RSI, things are starting to calm down quite a bit. Looking at the stochastic RSI, which again just gives you a better indicator of what's going on in more recent times. It's almost going into the oversold territory, allowing it to give that nice little rally going back up again. Looking at the impulse MACD on the MACD chart right here, we did break above the 0 line for a brief moment. Again, leading toward the end of September, it was a massive rally that actually continued from that 8th of September, like we just noticed, allowing us to break above the 0 line histogram. This is again on the daily. If you break this down on the weekly, you can see things a little bit different overall. We actually broke out above, back in October of 23, right? So that was actually a nice little rally overall. And then we've basically been bearish basically since June overall. And if you actually look at the chart right now on Bitcoin as well, going back to where June was, well, you can kind of see it's been on this little bearish trend right now where we've just basically held this pattern during that time. So all is good there. It is playing out the same way it usually does. This is just a brief little indicator on the daily side of things of what I'm seeing. I still see a lot of bullish move and activity being possible. This is just another pullback as well. Ethereum got a slight little rally toward the end of the month, man. That was awesome to see Ethereum starting to get back above it. But again, it hasn't really broken out, especially when you compare, Ethereum against Bitcoin in particular. When you actually compare these two charts, Ethereum still isn't outperforming Bitcoin. And until we see ETH actually start getting that move up ahead, massive times ahead to keep that in mind, okay? That is when you can see Altseason really start taking off as well. That's whenever you start seeing all of that really start coming into the play. So until we kind of end up getting in there, I'm not really sure. We're not quite there at this point in time, right? So just keep that in mind overall. Let me actually, the wife just messaged real quick. Let me just send her a quick message back. All right, cool. So again, when we start seeing Ethereum start outperforming Bitcoin, that's one of the indicators to see the actual Altseason rally happening. Another one is going to be the Bitcoin dominance. Whenever we're actually looking at this Bitcoin dominance chart as well, I'm wanting to see Bitcoin dominance. We actually started seeing it for a brief period of time in the month of September where altcoins really started rallying a little bit more than what Bitcoin was doing, given that slight little pullback in the dominance. I'm really wanting to see this sucker actually start breaking back down. If we could really start breaking back down below the 56% range of dominance, even getting into the 55% dominance range, if we can start seeing those moves start happening, right? Because this is a trend that we've been on. If you actually look at this, we've been on this trend since 2022, right? So you can actually see going all the way back here, September of 2022, that was really whenever the end of the bear market really was for most of crypto, especially with Bitcoin. And then it actually started taking off from there, going into the rallies, going into, breaking the 30K, breaking the 50K, breaking the 60K, even hitting all-time highs of 74,000 in March of 2024. That was always good to see, and that's something that we're definitely keeping an eye on. And Bitcoin has continued to retain that dominance for this period of time. So we are still on this trend line. First, I would want to see us pull back on the trend line right here, break down below this 56, breaking through there as well, hitting that next level of the support, which should actually be 55% whenever I'm checking it out on the chart. So just seeing how it's all going to play out. This is actually what I'm keeping an eye on to give me a better indicator of when I think the alt season could really start happening. I think it's all going to be kicking off. Q4 is a phenomenal month in crypto in the first place. Q1 is an incredible month for Ethereum as well. So keeping all that in mind, folks. Looking at what's going on, let me actually hit y'all with it because, guys, it is Wednesday, my dudes. So let me hit you with it. Wednesday. It is Wednesday, my dudes. So, pulling up on the actual charts for the RH ecosystem, that is always incredible to see as well, especially with the most recent rallies that we've really been seeing. I went over all this with my Patreon on Sunday just to kind of give everyone a little heads up. Going back to that Elliott wave pattern that we had just discussed moments ago, this is that same exact pattern playing out right now. As you can see, we got the 5-wave impulse happening. I could see an ABC correction being pulled back, bringing the prices somewhere in the 4039 range. If we do go that low, I would actually probably more expect it to be up here in this range as a nice level of support. So probably in the 404 range. Again, not saying that's not going to happen. I'm not saying it is going to happen, but usually when you see a 5-wave impulse, it is followed by an ABC correction, followed by another 5-wave impulse going forward. So this is kind of where I could see that whole chart playing out to give everyone some heads up, which would put it probably in the range of above SAC price by the end of October. That's kind of where I'm expecting or anticipating a possibility to be, especially being that we've got the October trend happening, especially that you can actually see the overall crypto landscape. And the last few days on this alone have just been absolutely incredible, folks. I mean, a move of 74% in 28 days. Damn good. Damn good. Hopefully, y'all were able to continue to DCA. Hopefully, you were able to continue to buy. Hopefully, those individuals, I saw a lot of people coming out of the woodworks talking about now that the prices are pumping, how do we talk about selling, right? Yeah, I'm not going to sell now, but how do we sell if I wanted to sell? So many people actually have been sitting on the sidelines since sacrifice. And I think if you are sitting on the sidelines, to each their own, but you are going to miss out on the massive gains that are possible for you as well. And that's because of the DCA capability, assuming that you went with this route right here. I pulled this up as well from my DCA calculator and people as well. But this is kind of pulling up. Let me just pull up a different one, actually, as a matter of fact. Give me one quick second because I actually want to kind of give you a showcase. And I know I've showed you this before. But for a lot of people, man, they just need to be able to see it again, right? So what I'm talking about is, say you sacrifice, and again, we're going to go with PulseChain in this example. You gave $2,000 during the sacrifice, which would put the sacrifice price, whoops, not wrong spot. You put $2,000 in on the sacrifice, putting the average price at 0.3 zeros and a 1, giving you roughly about 20 million tokens. Well, you can see right now, even with the price as it currently is, assuming that you pulled the sacrifice or assuming you pull a DCA today, right, which would be 4054, which is today's current price on this as well. If I just put 4054 right here to kind of give you an example, you can see with just $1,000 right now, because again, we've almost reduced it in half, I can almost get the exact same amount of tokens. And God forbid you actually put $500 in per month if you had the ability to, giving you for 2 months another $2,000. You've almost doubled the entire bag, if not tripled your bag, because now you have 37 million tokens additional. You've lowered your average entry price as well, which is absolutely crucial to take in the massive gains. Because if you just wait until we get back up to sacrifice price for the example, like we're discussing, and then it goes 10x from sac price, well, you've actually missed out on quite a bit of additional gains, because now instead of seeing a 10x, assuming that you actually, which would be 0.001, mind you, right, to keep it kind of simple, you could actually be seeing a 15% gain or a 15x gain just by doing this as well. So that $4,000 that you have invested during that time times 15x, you're looking at a $60,000 gain right there, right? Your now portfolio is sitting at $60,000, where if you just put in the $2,000 initially and you saw a 10x gain, which is always good to see in crypto, by the way, you'd be looking at a $20,000 portfolio. So take advantage of the prices while you can, while they're at these levels, especially for anyone who actually took true advantage of the prices, especially during these lows down here. That was an incredible buying opportunity to anyone who actually took advantage of that. So I share that because, again, I think so many people haven't put in any additional capital since sacrifice, right? And I've seen it happen where people have done the opposite, where they say, I only put $500 in on the sacrifice, for example, because they're expecting a 10,000x. But assuming you had the ability to, over the last several months, put in an additional $2,000, Well, look how big size your bag just became. Instead of 5 million tokens waiting for something to happen, you're now sitting on 42 million tokens with an average price of 4 zeros and a 6. Again, like we just talked about moments ago, assuming it goes back up, even just 10x from here, you'd still be looking at a gain of roughly about 17x from there, which is always incredible to see. Plus, you have a massive portfolio size. So now you're looking at 2,500 instead of your initial 5,000 or 500 times 17x. You're now sitting on a portfolio of $42,000. So I share that because I do believe in the DCA. In fact, I DCA'd myself during the entire year from September 15th all the way to the end of September 15th. So September 15th of 2023, I began my DCA journey. This is actually a system that I created to do $5 a day into each of these tokens. And here's the results, a breakdown, as a brief breakdown, should I say, as to what the results actually ended up coming back to. Give me one sec. I see myself cut off a little bit here. Let me just fix that. Update. Cool. So this is actually what it allowed me to do. I actually was able to get 227,000 hex on PulseChain, bringing my average price to 208. I was able to get, again, $1,800 invested, just $5 a day, every single day for an entire year. I was able to get 32 million Pulse tokens. I was able to get 85 million Pulse X tokens and 776,000 hex on Ethereum, to kind of give you all a heads up on that. So what I did is I actually have this broken down on a DBank website. You can go to dbank.com if you want to keep track of your portfolio and all that good stuff as well. And you can see how it's all actually going to end up playing out. And this is what I've been able to collect during that time. With my initial $7,300 invested into each of those tokens during the entire year, now sitting on a portfolio size of $9,900. It looked a little nicer a couple days ago, but that is what it is. There are going to be dips in this rally on the green candles. So keep that in mind when you're seeing 20x, 30x, 50x. Anticipate pullbacks, folks. I'm just giving you some heads up. Anticipate pullbacks using 5P's proper preparation to prevent poor performance. Whoops, I can see it actually doesn't show because I'm blocking it. So there you go. Now you can see my portfolio is $9,900 and what it's worth right now. Granted, $70 is in Ethereum right there just to handle some transaction fees. But this is something that anyone could have done. And this is a quick little update as to what's going on with this particular wallet. So in PulseChain alone, I'm sitting on $9,900 off my $7,300 initial investment. And I can see this doing even crazier numbers, especially if we just talk about those same things like we just mentioned, a 10x from here, a 20x from here, a 50x from here, and so on and so forth. These actually get pretty damn wild. And this is a wallet that I actually did a journey that anyone can do called the Pulse Challenge. So that way anyone could join me along this challenge and say, would you like to just do $5 a day? And I did into each of the core tokens, Hex on PulseChain, Hex on Ethereum, PulseX, and PulseChain. You can do one token, you can do multiple tokens, you can choose different tokens. That's up to you at the end of the day. And I think if you still DCA right now, one, we're still below sacrifice price on PulseChain and PulseX. Great time to be buying in. Looking at where prices are on Hex right now, we're still at a pretty damn good level too. Looking over here on the Hex price, as a matter of fact, sitting at 1.4 cents on Hex on PulseChain, sitting at 2 zeros and a 3 on Hex on Ethereum for these tokens. What a damn good opportunity, because again, I've seen these numbers at 10 cents before, 20 cents before, 50 cents before. I've seen what you can do in a bag of a million Hex on either chain at 50 cents. Is sitting on $500,000, folks. That is an incredible bag size, and you can still get a decent size bag. Even a 0.04 costs you $14,000 right now to get roughly about a million Pulse or a million Hex during this time. And you can see not too long ago, folks, it was actually already down here. So you can see we're back here, and just this move alone, it's already gone up roughly about 3x from the bottom of actually where we ended up getting. What a incredible opportunity to anyone who took advantage of these prices down below. And so I share this because, again, I think it's very important to keep that in mind for everyone to see as well. I see the wife pulling in. Give me just 1 second, folks. I will be right back myself. And yeah. Like I said, give me just one moment here. Hit you with some Wednesdays.
My dude. It is Wednesday, my dude. Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. 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 Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Should I have some music going in the background? That's what I should have been having. Some music. Some music. Where the music at? Where my music at?
All of my most sensitive areas were inflamed. My extremities pulsating.
What do I want to listen to today, folks? What do we want to listen to? There we go. So, riding the green candles. Riding the green candles. Damn. Okay. What a crazy time to be in, because this is a lot of the times, man, in crypto, it just goes crazy, folks. It goes crazy. Let me say hello to some beautiful people as well. Like I see people in the chat. We'll get through the chat here. If you got any questions, feel free to hit them up. Let me know. Let me know what's going on. Still accumulating. This is just a pump for ants right now. Agreed. I mean, 10 Top's absolutely right, guys. Like a 2x, a 4x in the span of a month is always good to see. It's definitely good to get that energy going again. Good to see the portfolio green again. Good to see if you are at a loss to be back even, or to either be a little bit more in profit. All of that is always good to see, especially with all the effort, time, and energy that you may have taken already during this time. So keep that in mind. Don't put it to the side, and always celebrate everything as well. That's why I do say again, folks, have a plan in place to take profits accordingly, because if you don't take profits this cycle, the market will take the profits for you. Benny Davis, what's up, my boy? Says ATX, appreciate your insights in TA. Much love, my friend. Finn Bear, what's going on? Alan in the house, what's up? Red Squirrel, oi, what's going on? Atlantean, hello. How are you, Chica? What do you think is the best stablecoin to move into once things go crazy? I mean, it's going to be pretty much the DAI is going to be the obvious answer on there. USDC is always a good one too. However, they do have admin keys, and so if they decide to shut down the tokens, even if they're wrapped over on Ethereum or wrapped from Ethereum onto PulseChain, you're just playing a little bit of a dangerous game. But I wouldn't be playing with any of the other stablecoin tokens, like the ones that have been created from these other communities or other creators. Not a fan of them at all. So I would just stay away from that at the end of the day. But yeah, DAI would be my answer there. What's your prediction for Hex's bull run? How high can it go? I did a little prediction for the for my Patreon peeps as well. So let's see kind of where the predictions ended up being roughly, because I do believe in some of these fun predictions. I do believe that Hex is going to lag a little bit behind in comparison, especially like Hex over on PulseChain, for example. I mean, Hex on Ethereum, because we've seen, like, just recently I saw the gas fees start getting back up to 20 Gwei, for example. And I remember there was a time where I'd be looking at the gas fees at 20, and I was like, dude, this is an incredible time to do something, because at one point they were so stupid, like 100 or 40 or 50 or whatever and higher from there, and they just got absolutely ridiculous. So like when you're actually looking at these particular charts right here, for example, and looking at Gwei, it's sitting at 28 Gwei right now. So like, while this is still pretty damn high, especially being that we've been fortunate enough to see 1 Gwei, 2 Gwei, 5 Gwei and less in recent times, you can see down here, it's basically been back in this like 9-10 Gwei range again, which I'm not saying is bad, but there was a time not too long ago where Gwei was sitting at 1 Gwei or 2 Gwei or even less, and that was an incredible time to be bridging in, right? And then it goes back up and it has its moments of spike. So this is where I can say that Hex on Ethereum, I think, is going to have a little bit of a pullback, right? But being a little bit more conservative from where I'm seeing, if we maintain this, 1-to-4 ratio that we've basically been seeing, like let's just pull up like this chart right here. Am I not signed in? Why am I not signed in? Let me sign in real fast. One moment. There we go. Now I'm signed in. Weird. I wonder why it wasn't in the first place. But pulling up this chart right here, right? So this is hex to hex comparison and just kind of seeing how it's been. Right here, we've basically gone back down, and hex on Ethereum was absolutely outperforming hex on PulseChain. You know, basically all the way from that March dip where we actually saw the kill tweet come through, and it tried recovering quite a bit. We actually seen Pulse Hex actually start recovering during that last month or last half of September quite substantially, right? And so we're back to this close to 1-to-5 ratio. And I think eventually we're going to be back in possibly this 1-to-2, 1-to-3 range if it actually ends up getting there. And the reason why I say that is because things like to find a median, right? At some point in time, when you're looking at some of these charts, it does find a median somewhere. So whether that's a median, like we'll just kind of draw a quick line here and draw another line down here. Like, so the median would be in between both of these particular tokens. So I could see this probably coming back down to like a little less than 1-to-2 ratio if I was to actually kind of draw that out just as a brief glimpse from what I'm seeing, because things like to find that little happy medium, right, that we just talked about. But looking at this actual chart right here, seeing a 1-to-5 ratio, if I anticipate, we'll say hex on PulseChain reaching $2, for example, then I'm probably going to think that we're probably going to be in this 1-to-4 ratio again. So I could see hex reaching anywhere between 50 cents to 75 cents. Kind of giving you a little heads up. I think a lot of people are going to end up going back into hex, but it'll probably be a little bit too late. A lot of people are taking profit. A lot of people have been in hex for quite a bit of time, and they got some massive bags, and it's going to keep the price suppressed as we've been seeing. I mean, heck, dude, looking at the actual hex chart alone, just from, you know, hex itself going all the way back here, right? Looking at all this, I mean, it's been suppressed quite a bit just from some time from massive players in the ecosystem. And that's perfectly fine. Like, they're still up 100x on their bag for some people who got in on the early stage right here. And I do think that it is still going to see some massive run as well. But I think, like, peaking out, you know, I would want to see hex on Ethereum start breaking its previous all-time high. And dude, I'd love to be wrong, man. Just put it at $20 hex, and then put it at you know, put it at somewhere like $5 hex on Ethereum. But obviously, you know, people unfortunately have way too much on the bag size, and they're going to keep that price suppressed, and that's fine. This is just this particular cycle, right? Where do I see it going in 15 years, dude? The sky's the limit at that point in time. And so, like, if you're focusing just this cycle, yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Potentially $1.50 for hex on PulseChain, up to $2, and then I could see that range come down in the ballpark and be in the same similar situation to probably be roughly around 50 cents to 75 cents for hex on Ethereum. And I think hex on Ethereum is going to get hurt a little bit more, obviously, in that regard. Reason why? Gas fees. And I think if we see a bull market really start happening, Ethereum starts pumping, it breaks its $5,000 threshold, starts hitting $10,000 and $15,000 from there. I think we're going to see gas fees just at a stupid high number, right? Potentially seeing 70, 80, 90, 100 gwei again. Bringing back to why PulseChain was invented in the first place, right? That's because gas fees suck, my guys. Gas fees absolutely suck. So yeah, hopefully that gives you some idea. 10x from SAC would be amazing gains. Yeah, absolutely, dude. And you know, some people are saying like that would be enough to be able to retire them. That'd be enough. That's all they need. Some people believe that's all they'll ever see on this particular ecosystem. I think we have a much higher gain to go from there. And my numbers over here for PulseChain are somewhere in the penny range. I heard a hexologist or someone was mentioning the other day that he was talking about 80 cents for PulseChain, and I'm like, bro, bring it, you know, because that not only would that be above a 10,000x from the bottom, because if you're thinking the bottom was 4 zeros and a 3, then 30 cents would be a 10,000x, right? And so like that would be that 10,000x prediction coming to fruition. And that would always be incredible to see as well, especially assuming that it took possibly 2.5 years or somewhere in that ballpark, right? Because I mean, if you think about it, came out May of 23, so we're getting into possibly May of 25, where we're going to be seeing some tops on some cycles for some tokens. And I think it really continues over into possibly even November of 2025 to really start seeing that full cycle top indicator, or at the very least going into 2026. And I've said this before, but I think cycles are extending ever so slightly. So the bull run has always kind of extended a little bit longer each time, you know, roughly by about 18%. So That's why I think we're going to possibly see like February of 26, but who knows, man? We're just going to have to wait and see how it all plays out. How much did you pay in gas fees in total during your Pulse challenge? I don't know. I don't know how to look that up in particular, but I mean, overall, for my Pulse transactions, probably like $2 worth of Pulse or something like that. I don't know how to go back and find out how much gas I've spent on this particular wallet doing it, but it's super cheap to transact. And then I would find times to bridge the assets over into the PulseChain ecosystem whenever Gwei was, we'll say 1 Gwei, or if I needed to, I would use the Arbitrum bridge as well through, Spark Swap. And so there was multiple different methods of doing it. Overall, I'd probably ended up spending, probably about $150 in just gas fees from Ethereum and PulseChain combined. But again, I don't know necessarily like how to look that up. And then I, spent the $7,300 by buying $5 a day into each of those tokens. And it's just going to be a fun little wallet to check out to see. Again, like, you do 7,300 and you see 100x, you're looking at 730,000. That's a pretty damn good number for a lot of folks. So it's going to be pretty cool to see that all play out. And it's going to be a wallet that's available, public for everyone to see and all that good stuff. What happened? What do you mean what happened, Edward? I don't know. Intermission over, absolutely. As above, so below. What's up, ATX? How you doing? Got Hex stakes due this week. Would you restake till top of bull or leave liquid? Not financial advice. I love staking Hex, man. Hex is my long-term play in general. If you don't have any long stakes out there, 55-55, that's my first recommendation for anyone who is looking to stake Hex in the first place. Send it out long, dude. You don't know where life's going to go. You don't know what's going to happen. And 15 years in crypto is quite a long bit of time when you're actually looking at the overall span of what's potentially possible. You're going to probably be thinking yourself even more by doing that. If you have a nice size position in Pulse, PulseX, and other tokens that you can take profits accordingly on the way up, I would probably restake. If most of your assets are in Hex, you can stake until, roughly around the March timeframe. Again, that's just kind of so that way you can earn some more Hex during that time. Q1 tends to be very bullish in crypto. Q4 tends to be very bullish in crypto. So it kind of keeps you from selling too early if you're holding liquid. God forbid you're holding liquid and you do see it hit 10 cents, for example, and you're just holding on 1 million Hex right there, and it's liquid that you're holding. You're looking at $100,000 right there just in that one asset alone. And so some people are going to be tempted to sell half the position. Some people are going to be tempted to either swap it into another token. That also happens holding liquid. So staking kind of keeps you from doing something silly. So I say if you can stake, that's why I think stake it, right? Because you can't stake Pulse and PulseX. Yeah, you can put them in a farm and all that good stuff, but you can literally pull the farm the same day, the same minute, the same hour. If not the next day after that, there's no penalty besides some impermanent loss that you may incur. There's no actual penalty. Whereas if you stake Hex 15 years, then you pull it next day, you have absolutely tanked your stake because you've just lost all of the principal that you've staked. So that's kind of where I would say. Depends on everyone's situation. Obviously, depends on what position you're talking about. And I mean, I don't like holding liquid Hex personally. That's just me. That's just clearly a lot of people like holding liquid Hex. There's somebody selling. So, in that regard, if you want to be one of the people who try selling some before the rest of the people absolutely sell their bags, yeah, maybe hold some liquid, stake the rest, or do something like that. But again, if anytime I talk about Hex, I stake it. I think staking is the best possible way to do it for anyone looking to get into Hex. Stable or into... Lol. That's what's going on, Logi 33. That was funny, man. That was funny. What up? What up? How you doing? See me no more. How you doing, man? Having fun? Hexo said 80 cents. LMAO. That dude. Yeah. Dude, 80 cents. I was doing the math and I was like, bro, if you have 1 billion Pulse for those people who are fortunate enough to be able to accumulate during this time and put a nice size position in place, and that sucker reaches 80 cents, you're like $800 million. You're $200 million away from being a billionaire. I was like, man, that would be incredible. So that's why I think I have a hard time seeing the whole 80 cent threshold or even 30 cent threshold, because it just makes so many people filthy fucking rich, right? And so while that's not a bad thing at all, I don't think that it has the ability to make that many people that wealthy. But a good 1 to 3 cents, man, a good 1,000x from the bottom, that is incredible, by the way. To anyone looking at gains in crypto, if you see a 10x, congrats. You see 100x in crypto, you're fucking winning. You see 1,000x in crypto, boy, you've won. You've won the game. That's where you can actually put in, for example, $1,000 into something and turn it into $1 million with 1,000x. That's how that would work right there, right? So keep that in mind. That's why I could see many people becoming millionaires in that scenario. Absolutely. Do I see people becoming fucking billionaires? There's going to be some people that become billionaires because their bags are so packed right now. I've seen wallets holding $500,000 worth of stuff already as it stands right now at today's prices. If they hold through the entire time and actually see it at the actual end of the bull market, then yeah, they could be looking at the billionaire status as well. Is that going to be the majority of people? No, right? And so I think based on that alone, I do see myself being a little bit more conservative. But dude, neither here nor there. You see 100x in crypto, in my opinion, you fucking won, dude. You absolutely won, bro. And like we just talked about it moments ago, but you put yourself into a $10,000 position in Hex during the entire time you've been purchasing it, during everything that's been happening. You've got yourself a million Hex, or we'll say at this situation 1.4 million Hex at this point in time for Hex on PulseChain, and that sucker goes off to do another 1,000x in that scenario, or even 100x in my opinion. You're looking pretty damn juicy, right? I think it goes 500x from, even somewhere around these numbers. Looking at a nice $5 million portfolio from a $10,000 investment, I see that being very possible as well. And there's more than enough liquidity. You're not everyone's going to be dumping all of it at once. Everyone's like, not everyone can make that much money. Not everyone's going to make it that long in the first place. Like straight up, so many people are. That's why I say when you're holding liquid, so many people are going to see their position go from $1,000 right now in Hex, for example, and just a 10x from here, and you're looking at $10,000, and then you're like, I can do a lot with 10,000. I can trade it into this, and I can do this, and I can swap it, and there's a new token coming out, and if I get another Moodang chance as well, I'm gonna swap all that $10,000. Look, man, I don't want to play that game. I don't want to play nowhere near that game. So for myself, for my mental health and my mental ability and my mental constraint, I do pull back and I do stake. It's a way to conserve my effort as well, because the game in crypto is psychological, man. You're going to see a bunch of people make some money, but majority of people get absolutely freaking wrecked. Let's keep that in mind. Fees dot. Does it really? To check gas spent? Cool. Cool. Is that for Ethereum or is that for PulseChain as well? Just kind of curious if you know that answer. They spent no account, stake, trade, current stats. All right, cool. I'll have to check it out. It looks like it's just Gwei for Ethereum from what I can see, but neither here nor there. That's pretty darn cool. Let me just, cool. Appreciate you sharing that. Great month of green candle close. Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And you got to ride the green candle, folks. This is what I was talking about. This is what the stream's about. This is what it's always been about, folks. And this is why, if you do have yourself something, a profit taking strategy, folks, the 5 P's, proper preparation prevents poor performance, which is why I've built this spreadsheet. This is available. You can build this yourself. You can make it all easy. Nothing too crazy that I did here. It is available to all my Patreon members who join. That's one of the perks and benefits that you get to it. But this is one of the things. So all I did in here was I put in each of my average investments. And I know this already because once again, it's already done the math for me right here. And it's told me, here's my average price. Here's my overall amount. Here's how many tokens I have. And with all that information, I can then enter it into an actual profit-taking plan. So now I put in these tokens. And if I was to take profit accordingly, according to this particular chart right here, I would start on the double. So my average entry price for PulseChain is 40579. I don't want to sell all of my position. I like selling 5%. You can choose to sell more. You can choose to skip. You can choose to do all of that. But on the first double, this tells me how many tokens to sell right away. So I don't have to guess. I don't have to get difficult. I don't have to get crazy with it. It tells me how much to cash out, and boom, this is me taking profit at this time. If I just do this enough times, when the dips arise, assuming you took profit, let's just say on an 8x, so you've taken profit now 3 different times, you're sitting on a profit taken of almost $1,200, and then a dip shows up, folks. This is when dips occur. 30% dips happen, 40% dips happen, 60% dips happen on a bull market rally, folks. This is when things are astronomically. This is like things are just taking off. 60% dips still happen. And what can you do with this additional profit that you've taken? You allow yourself to buy back in with the profit that you've taken during that time. This is one of the strategies you can use, taking profit accordingly. The other thing is just take profit, folks. Again, there's nothing wrong with profit taking. Nothing wrong with profit taking. Again, if you do not take profits, the market will take them for you. Promise. So even at the 100x gain, right, the 120x 8 or 128x gain, this would show me I would have taken profit, $18,000 worth of profit, and I would still be sitting on 22 million tokens. I'd still be sitting on 22 million tokens, folks. Right? That 22 million tokens from my initial 31,600,000 tokens is still massive, because this number alone, when you start getting into these numbers, right? Like assuming we'll just go here. Whoops. We'll just do this. We'll just say you went here and you still have 22 million tokens. Boom. You're sitting on a profit portfolio of $164,000 with $18,000 taking profit during that time. Now, eventually, you're going to put some money in the bank, guys. That's what the game is. Pay yourself, right? Make sure that you can cover your expenses. Make sure that you can reward yourself for all the time that you've taken, because this takes time, folks. If you've been waiting 2, 3, 4 years to take profit accordingly, this is how you can get it done in a easier, smarter way and not ruin your entire position. Because if you see it go up 32x, folks, and you're sitting on this bag of whatever it is, $150,000, and you started out with $100 or $1,800 initially, you're gonna probably do something silly like sell half the position, and then you miss out on the 64x, 128x, you miss out on the 256x and beyond, right? And this is just one of the strategies you can use to implement the ability to say, hey, this tells me all I need to know when to take profit, and all you have to do is just execute that. Like, assuming you don't want to take profit on the first 2x, cool, you put 0% there. Congratulations. You wait until it reaches 4x to take your first profit. Cool. You don't have to take profit here, but if you set a plan in place, this allows you to actually get it done. This allows you to see it through to the end. This allows you to say, I don't have to guess. This tells me how much to sell and when to sell, because I don't want to play with the limit order things that are out there on PulseChain right now. Dude, I'm not jeopardizing my bag to try to be on some limit order protocol that I don't fully even trust in the first place. So why would I put my bag at risk because I want to take some profit? That is the silliest thing. This tells me when to do it, and all you have to do is, guess what, folks? Execute when the time comes. That's it. So assuming you see it go like this, and we're looking at these charts right now, and we're looking at PulseChain, and it's at 4 zeros and a 5 right now, and then by the end of October potentially, right, you're looking at 4 zeros 1 2 somewhere in this little ballpark range, or possibly even, you know, early November. You're looking here at this 4 zeros 1 2. Well, now this tells me when to take profit. So I would literally come in here and just say whoops, I would come in here and just say, that's my first time taking profit. Take profit, right? That's the easiest way to do it right there. And text will say take profit level. Boom. Now I don't have to worry about anything crazy. And again, you can mark this however you want on your own chart. All of this done. It allows you to get it done in a way that allows you to get it done, folks, because at the end of the day, again, if you don't have a plan in place, dude, I'm telling you, you will react emotionally You're going to see gains larger than you've ever seen in your freaking life come crypto bull market. And again, folks, we haven't fully hit that. Q4 and Q1, I anticipate to be extremely bullish, but there will be pullbacks. And so you're going to see your portfolio go from 10,000 to 100,000 on a 10x. And you're like, this is it, dude. I freaking made it. Another 10x and I'm a millionaire. Holy effing cow. And then it dips 60%, folks. So you watch it go from 100,000 to $40,000. Remember, you started with 10,000. So you're like, man, I don't know. I should have taken profit. I should have done something. I know I should have done it. I wish I would have. I wish I could have. I hate saying that stuff, dude. I absolutely hate that. Set a plan in place. So that way when the time comes and you see 100K, cool. This tells me how much to take, when to take, and all that good stuff. I don't have to guess. I don't have to plan. I don't have to do anything crazy like that besides just execute the plan. And I can do this for each of my tokens. I have PulseX. This tells me all the prices down here that I need to see. I have Hex on PulseChain. This tells me all the prices down here that I need to see. I have Hex on Ethereum. This tells me all the prices that I need to see. I don't need to guess, folks. I don't need to guess. I don't need to anticipate. I don't need to plan. I don't need to react emotionally. If you saw 50-cent Hex again, you saw a million Hex on that time. This wallet alone got pretty damn close to 776,000 Hex. And if it sees this number up here of 500,000 Hex or anything around this 60-cent, 30-cent range, you're looking at close to, we'll say $250,000 up to $500,000 just on this position alone with Hex. So yeah, put a plan in place, folks. This is why I share it with everyone. I have a little chat with everyone, especially reminding everyone through the Patreon, reminding everyone through the streams, sharing this information for everyone to see. Make a plan that makes sense for you, for yourself. I can't tell you how much to do. I can't tell you when you need to do it. I can't tell you how to do it. All I can tell you to do is to plan, folks. Not only plan, write that shit down if you need to. Like, get a pen and paper, get a pen to paper, get a little notebook right here, get a pen to paper and say, here's my positions, here's what I'm going to do. Don't just think about it and do like, oh yeah, when it does this, I'm going to do this. And then it's thought like that thought disappears. Because as soon as you walk out into another room, you're no longer thinking about it anymore. This allows me to see all the stuff I need to see right away, folks, right away. Mo Digging It says, what's good, my guy? Dude, chilling, my guy. Chilling. How are you? Got a PulseX top price in mind? Yeah, dude, my PulseX top price is anywhere between 0.5 of a penny up to a penny. That's assuming we maintain the same ratio. Again, like with Hex over on Ethereum versus Hex on PulseChain, I showed you kind of where my logic and thought process was. If we end up in a similar situation with, we'll say Hex over, or we'll say a PulseX in this example, and we're looking at this particular chart right now, PulseX is absolutely outperforming Pulse. I don't always anticipate it to be that way, but at this point in time, PulseX is absolutely tearing past and outperforming Pulse, right? So if you just bought Pulse during this, or PulseX during this time, you're up 2.3x to your Pulse at that point in time. You can do some ratio trading. I don't plan on doing any of that. I'm just saying how you can look at some of this stuff. So if I anticipate the possibility of seeing Hex over on Pulse, or I'm sorry, if I see PulseChain reaching, anywhere between 0.1 of a penny, or I'm sorry, 1 penny up to 3 pennies, which incredible, mind you, right? I'm going to reduce that by half because that's basically where the ratio has been on the median side of things. It's anywhere between the half to a third. And again, this is where I say things like to come back to a median. So while PulseX is absolutely outperforming right now, it doesn't always tend to stay that way. There will be some times where Pulse is going to start outperforming PulseX. And then you start coming back in this range and this rally, possibly even coming back down here again, retesting some of these levels, which is why if you are in yield farms, all you have to do is just simply hold. You don't have to get crazy with it. Again, I think these particular yield farms for Pulse and PulseX are awesome because you don't really have to worry. You just have to hold. You don't do anything crazy. The impermanent loss, if you actually incur any impermanent loss, you probably just got to wait. And eventually it's going to come back down and retest that level and get back to a break-even point for your impermanent loss, allowing you to earn ink during that entire time. So that's kind of my thought process. And again, I use this from a standpoint of, even just from a standpoint of like where the current price is, where it's currently at right now versus where it can actually go into the future. One thing I see just right away, looking at the fib retracement over here, is you start getting into some of these levels right now. My target for PulseX was probably about a penny. I actually reduced that down by half just because, again, I thought, if we maintain this, I don't know if it's going to get a 1-to-1 ratio with Pulse. So if it does, that would be crazy. But if it doesn't, then I'm anticipating that we could potentially be seeing some pullback anywhere between 5/10 of a penny up to a penny. This is kind of my Pulse X price prediction. And again, this is coming from a standpoint of the actual log chart as well. Let me flip it off the chart right here. Okay, yeah, that doesn't make it look pretty. Yeah, I'm using this based on log scale. So anyways, that's kind of what I'm seeing. We're going to get this little 2618 hit possibly on PulseX, but that's a pretty damn good top indicator right there, in my opinion, if we end up getting anywhere near that range. Again, we can see the first level I'd be looking at would be 3 zeros and an 8, which is roughly about 8.6x above SAC. But from current price from here, folks, again, you're doing pretty damn good. And from the bottom, I was measuring roughly about 1,000x as well. So like, if we're here and we're talking about 5 zeros and a 9, somewhere in that range, 5 zeros, 9, I'm going to say 1,000x from there. Yeah, nice little like 2 zeros and a 9 type deal, something like that. Penny, somewhere in there. Hopefully that gives you some clarity as to what I'm thinking. But who knows, man? The market can be crazy, but that's kind of what I'm seeing happening right now on the actual charts, and they look pretty damn good, folks. They look really damn good, as a matter of fact. Breaking it all down. I hate looking at that website. I did it once, never again. Yeah, there was a time where you look at that website, if you were in Hex in the earlier days, and you would see how much you spent either staking Hex or ending your Hex stake. Oh my God. It was ludicrous, bro. You'd be spending hundreds of dollars just to end a stake, and God, you better hope that you had put in enough Hex to make it worth that ending of a stake. But 2021, we got to see some stupid high gas fees. I anticipate we're going to be seeing some stupid high gas fees again. So just my thought. Yeah, looked once, never again. Not sure if it supports PulseChain yet. Appreciate that. Waiting on the big Mars bag. Yeah, dude, that's the best way to do it. And again, guys, like, never sell your entire position. If you want to, by all means, go for it. But like, always have some, man. You never know. Even if you're getting near where you think is a particular top at that point in time, you should be able to take a decent chunk of profit off of it. If you've taken profit accordingly along the way, you should be sitting on a nice bag of stables at that point in time, so you don't have to just dump the price. If you're sitting on, a bag of $5 million in PulseChain, for example, I anticipate you would have also taken out roughly about $200,000 in profit on that as well. So if you wanted to, you could possibly sell $1 million and it wouldn't hurt the price as much, all that good stuff. So keeping all that in mind, folks, all of that in mind. Great Alpha, appreciate that. Logic 33. We need Tetra badly, program it and forget it. Yeah. I'll leave that. Have stakes set for 25, 29, 33, and 38. Have a few 2-year stakes due this week. Yeah, dude, that's one of the best ways to do it for just like the overall initial way of getting it done. So if you're new to staking, one of the best things I love doing is simply going to do a 15-year stake first. So if it times out to be the bear market, so be it, right? You choose whatever you want to choose at that point in time. That's up to you. But, a 15-year stake from 24 would put it roughly about 39 at that point in time. So you're probably pretty close to around the top of the bull market, if not mid around there, somewhere in that range. You start looking at it from a 4-year cycle perspective next. That's kind of what I usually will recommend. I always suggest going longer first. So send the long ones out first, because that's going to accumulate the most amount of Hex possible. So if you have the ability to do multi stakes right now, go for it. But if you have accumulated a certain amount of Hex, let's just say 100,000 Hex in this example, throughout this time through a DCA strategy, you send that sucker out for 15 years. And then the next time you accumulate 100,000 Hex, you send it out 10 years. And then the next time you accumulate 100,000 Hex, you get the cycles going where you have the 25, 29, 33, 38 which is a top of the bull market cycle. It's a 4-year cycle that tends to be pretty consistent as well. So yeah, that's kind of giving everyone some ideas on that. What is the site that I was looking for? One moment, y'all. Here we go. Quick draw. Let's draw. What? Oh, it's trying to get me to like freaking play a game. Google Drawings. Oh, that's a full-on that's a full-on little game system. Anyways, I was just checking it all out, folks. But this is kind of where I'm thinking, you know, looking back at all of this stuff, this is what I would want to be planning for. Again, let me hit y'all with the good old Wednesday, my dudes, because it's Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
How funny would it be if it wasn't Wednesday? I just looked at the date just to make sure it was Wednesday. But I hope y'all are having a fantastic day, man. I really do. I really hope y'all are enjoying what we got going on. I think we really are just kind of kicking off the beginning of what is to be a phenomenal 2024 going into 2025. Q4 is very bullish in crypto in general. Q1 is even more bullish for altcoins. So that's when I anticipate shit to really start going ham and hog wild. That's where, again, you know you're in a bull market because you can close your eyes with 50 different cryptos on a dartboard and just throw a dart and you got a 10x on it right away. So if you get a 10x in crypto, always good to see. You do 100x in crypto, you're freaking killing it. You get 1,000x in crypto and you should have won the game if done properly. But so often people quit before they actually succeed. Right? I think it's that same whole diamond miner meme, right? It's that same exact concept that you literally, it's right here. Let me just share this. Here we go. Yeah, it's literally this right here, right? Me about to get something good. I'm several $1,000s in debt, for example, for this particular person, the person who stopped opening loot boxes, whatever the case may be, it doesn't really matter what it is, what you say. It comes down to this meme that this person gave up right before they actually almost made it to the end. But again, this is just many people showing that they are just getting in right now. And some of these people who are getting in right now are going to be the winners, right? Like it's crazy to say. The people who get in right now could potentially be the ones who actually win in the end because they didn't have to wait as long. They didn't have to go through the craziness. But to everyone who's gone through the craziness, you could be exhausted like this particular individual. And I don't want to see that from anyone, right? I'd much rather that everyone just make it toward the end. But I want y'all to know that that is every single chance that you get, right? Like that is what happens. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going. Now's not the time to be giving up, in my personal opinion. It's just not the way things look, not the way things feel, not the way things typically end up going on a normal crypto cycle. So based on all of that information, boys and gals, that is kind of where I'm going to leave it today. I hope y'all have a wonderful afternoon. Happy ATX Wednesday, or hey, ATX Happy Wednesday. I did miss the Wednesday toads. Love it. Love it. Enjoy the afternoon, boys and gals, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. There is still more to come, so keep that in mind, and I'll catch y'all in the next stream. Peace. I want to take a minute and thank all of our Patreon members over on patreon.com. Also want to thank all the badge members for YouTube memberships and all of the subscribers. This would all not